I love BMX. It was the closest I could get to a girl, so I was psyched about it. Debbi Kalsow was a trailblazer. She was dogged and she was determined, and also the first, I still don't know if to say girl or female, Billy, so she's a powder puffer out there in the world. And I am really excited. This has been a long time coming, very deserved, and I'm excited to see the video. So let's have a video for Debbi Kalsow.
It was the 1980s, the heyday of bicycle motocross. And along with the growing popularity of BMX racing for teenage boys, girls were also contributing to the massive growth of our sport. Up until this point, the girls' class was referred to as powder puffs, a term coined from the motocross world. But times, they were a-changin'. Girls racing would soon get the respect it deserved. When the Kalsow family left Lansing, Michigan to the BMX mecca of Phoenix, Arizona to work for the ABA, their kids, Digger and Debbi, were already furiously fast. Debbi had already won nationals in the ABA and NBA and earned an NBL #1 plate for 11-year-old girls. The Kalsow family took over as track operators at Chandler BMX, Firebird BMX, and Outlaw BMX, and the kids kept getting faster. At that time, ABA was handing out national #1 titles for pros and amateurs, and even a factory team title, but none for the girls. Debbi was among the few who applied the pressure on the ABA to create a #1 girl title for the fast flying females of our sport. Finally, in 1982, the ABA added a 4th national #1 title to their championship series. And Debbi Kalsow was right there to chase down the #1 plate. After racking up a solid points lead throughout the season, Debbi would hold her own at the 1982 Grands against JMC's Yolanda Williams. And with 711 points, she'd be crowned the ABA's very first #1 girl. 2 years later, she would earn the #1 girl title in USBA and would become the NBL's #1 girl pro. Throughout her BMX career, Debbi rode for 3 teams in all, starting off with the East Lansing Cycle Shop, then moving on to Jag BMX in 1980. But it was her time on CW Racing from 1981 to 1985 that firmly cemented her name in the history books. Her induction tonight, along with teammate Clarence Perry, puts 5 of the 9 riders from 1982's factory CW team into the Hall of Fame, joining the likes of teammates Mike Miranda, Billy Griggs, and Tracer Finn. Debbi Kalsow's determination and record-setting ways make her a true trailblazer in the BMX world. And still to this day, she's involved with the sport. As the leader of the Tough Girls BMX team, Debbi is inspiring and encouraging both boys and girls all across the globe to do their best in BMX. Tough Girls currently sponsors over 100 riders in 4 countries and is always on the lookout for more. And Debbi has even bigger plans for her nonprofit Tough Girls Foundation. So stand up and let her hear it as we salute a true pioneer of girls BMX racing. Introducing former powder puffer and queen of the Tough Girls, your 2018 Woman Inductee, Debbi Kalsow.
I don't know about queen. I don't know. And I don't think I can get any more old school than this, but wow, this is crazy. It truly has been a long time. What a great intro. Really cool. First off, I want to say, you know, it's great to see so many people here, friends, family. I literally have all my brothers from both my teams, CW. I've got my Jag brothers back there in the back, and it just feels really amazing to have all you guys here supporting me. You guys were like my foundation, you know, all of you guys. You were my rock, truly. I want to thank, first and foremost, my parents, Dennis and Carol Kalsow. And a lot of you may not be aware, but last year my mom passed away of a glioblastoma brain tumor. She had a short 7 months that she battled, and she was called home. So I know she's looking down on me tonight and smiling. So, you know, I dedicate this to my mom. Dad, I love you. I love you so much. You guys gave up so much for my brother and I to be able to do what we loved. You gave up everything. My dad gave up an amazing job for us to move on to Arizona and race every single day of the week, sometimes twice on the weekends. They ran tracks. They worked full-time jobs. You know, we went without power sometimes because, you know, my parents, they literally sacrificed everything for us to be able to pursue our dreams. So, Dad, I thank you for everything that you guys gave up for us. I'd also like to thank my siblings, Digger and Cindy. They never complained when I was in the spotlight. They gladly took the back seat, and they were so supportive. They didn't complain, and you know, they were really there, you know, to give me all the support that I needed. And to my sponsors, Randy and Carmen Roker of Jag BMX, my very first factory sponsorship at 10 years old. I was super young. I was brand new to the sport, and I got to experience my very first world championship race, racing on concrete, which was crazy. Wooden jumps, and I don't know, it was scary. It was really scary, but it was really cool at the same time. I gained a whole, you know, big family of brothers, one sister. They were real supportive. I got to have my first television interview, although I looked pretty goofy and nervous, pretty much like I do right now, but it was an amazing experience. You know, I wouldn't have given that up for the world. Those people, Anthony Sewell, Turnell Henry, Charlie Williams, Paul Gossrow, Jason Jensen, Henry Rivera, Tracy Thomas, you know, those guys, the Luke brothers, Tony and Sean, they were all there for me in the very beginning. So they pretty much helped shape my beginning BMX career. So I want to thank all of you guys for that. Roger Worsham of CW Racing, my sponsorship with Roger spanned 5 years. Roger saw the potential I had to take myself all the way to national #1. He was there through the whole thing. He did everything that he could to get me to every race possible. He got me the exposure that I needed, and he put a lot of faith in my ability. I wish, you know, much like Clarence, I wish I knew where he was. You know, I really have a lot that I need to say to Roger. So, you know, if you're out there, Roger, thank you. And again, I gained a whole nother family. You know, you guys are amazing. You're always there for me. You always have my back. We had a lot of laughs, a lot of stories. But you guys were always there for me, and I know you always will be. So I want to thank you guys. Congratulations, Clarence. It's amazing to be inducted on the same night as you. We literally traveled the nation together in a van. You know, we all piled in there, and we went to all kinds of crazy places, signing autographs, bike shops. We raced on tracks that were nothing more than like bike trails with a bunch of rocks. But it was fun. It was fun. There are a lot of other people that had a huge impact on my racing career, people who supported me along the way, like Gene Roden. Thank you, Gene, for always being there. You're a big part of our family, always will be. Thank you. All of my peers and my Arizona BMX families, the Kellys, Pete and Debbie Kelly, the Reynas, the Trowers, the Kellners, the Dunns, the Adams. You guys were an integral part, of me. You guys were there. We were there every day of the week. We spent so much time together, and we truly, truly were family, truly. All my co-sponsors, many co-sponsors throughout the years that supplied me with everything I needed. Too many to name, but you all know who you are. And now we get down pretty much to the story. My story really isn't that much different than all the other women that have been inducted before me. Most of us had brothers who influenced our decisions to get out there and ride. So where did I start? I was living in East Lansing. It was my brother's 8th birthday, and he had been wanting a new bike, so my dad took him to the local bike shop, East Lansing Bicycle, and the guys in the shop there, they were telling my dad and my brother about, the BMX, what it was, what it involved, and they had a kind of a makeshift, a track that they had in a lot not too far from the shop, and my dad asked my brother if he wanted to go out there and see what it was about and give it a try. So they went out there, and he raced quite a few times. He really liked it. There were a handful of people that were there that ultimately ended up becoming the foundation for Capital Area Supercross in Lansing, Michigan. People you might know: Brian Barlow and his family, Scott Sackett, John Tomac and his family, Mike Heinrichs and his family, a good handful of others. The Luke family was also, they all got together with my mom and dad, and we went to the Jack Pine, found a piece of land. It was the Jack Pine Lodge, and we all worked really hard at building the first track in Lansing, Michigan. So there was a point in time when, we were doing pretty well out there. Races were getting pretty big. I hadn't even really started at that point in time. It was my brother's sport, so I was trying to give him that. And there was just so much going on out there. I was like, I got to get in on this. I got to get out there, and I got to get out there and ride. And so I went to my dad and I asked him. I said, can I get out there and do this? And he's like, I don't know. This is Digger's thing, so you have to get permission from your brother before I even say yes or anything. And I was like, I don't know. Okay, when was the last time I jumped on him and beat him up? And is this a good time to even ask my brother's permission? But we talked about it, and he agreed to let me get in there and see what I could do. And we both fell in love with the sport, and we put a lot of time and effort into it, and it was just something that we did together. My brother always had my back, and we worked together to push each other to be the best rider that we could be. There was a point in time when my dad was pulling about 500 riders at his track, and it got the attention of Gene and Bob Osborne. So they went out to visit my dad. I said, what the heck you guys got going on out here? You got so many riders out here at this track. Gene gave my dad his number. He said, give me a call. That kind of started the friendship and the partnership that they developed, and we ended up moving to Arizona. My dad went to work for the American Bicycle Association. He became the Eastern Regional Director. And basically, in short, that's how we all got moved out to Arizona. We dropped everything that we had in Michigan. We left all of our relatives behind, and we moved on to see what this sport had for us. So it was a big move. I basically went from racing one time every couple weeks to about 6 times a week. And the days that I wasn't riding at the track, I was training, whether doing sprints up and down the canals in Arizona or riding across the city that my parents didn't know about. Couple hours I would take off and just ride from Chandler to North Phoenix and back, and yeah, they didn't know about that. But we basically lived at the track. And during that time, there weren't too many girls, so I was pretty much racing the boys. I started off at the bottom, started off in novice, and worked my way up to the expert class. The boys didn't really like that too much. In fact, pretty much pissed them off. So it got to the point where they would start taking me out on purpose, and they would T-bone me in the turns, and had a lot of concussions. I had numerous wrist breaks, collarbone break, broke my elbow. So they took out all their aggression on me because they couldn't beat me. So they figured that was the best way to do it. Pretty rough. So about that time, I started talking with Merle Menninga to see what we could do about the girls' classes and creating a separate national ranking for the girls. And this is pretty much where it all began. It was the birth and the growth of our powder puff generation. And no, I did not pick that name. I'm not responsible. Not responsible. But I love all you girls. We all worked really hard to build the classes that we did. We created a pathway for all the girls that are out there today. I put a lot of effort, a lot of sweat, a lot of tears into my national riding, and in 1982 I became the very first national #1 girl in 2 sanctions. So where does that bring me today? About 5 years ago, I got a call from one of my friends in Arizona. I really hadn't followed BMX too much throughout the years. I was doing my own thing. And he's like, you know, you really need to go check it out, kind of see how it's evolved and see what it's about. And it didn't take but a minute to get the bug back. So the first thing I thought about before even, researching what was out there, what kind of teams were out there, but I knew that I wanted to do something for the girls. So I created Tough Girls BMX. And like they said on the video, I've got over 100 riders to this day. I've got a team in Australia. I've got a team in Canada. And soon, this next season, I'll have a team in New Zealand. And my main focus is to make sure that I'm bringing new riders into the sport. Little girls, I don't care what proficiency they are. I just want to bring them into the sport that I love, teach them about sportsmanship, teach them how to be healthy, teach them how to have a self-esteem, a good self-esteem, and just mentor these girls so that when they become of age, they can do the same for the next generation. So those are my hopes. Those are what I'm working towards, mentoring, and I just want to say to my girls that are watching tonight, you can be up here. You can be up here. This is a major goal that you can set, and you can do it. And I want to see each and every one of you up here. So I want to thank you guys for listening to my story. I know it was kind of boring, but that's me. That's me. And this really validates for me that I did my job as an up-and-coming athlete and as, you know, a young female rider, that I did my job and hopefully inspired, you know, girls for years to come. So thank you.